Ever feel that need to just quickly grasp a complex idea, maybe for work, or maybe you're just curious? Well, today we're offering a bit of a shortcut. We're doing a deep dive into something called the training needs analysis model. Sounds maybe a bit technical, but honestly, it's fundamental to how organizations get things right.
Yeah, it really is. It's about making sure you have the right skills in the right places.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack it for you. What is it? How does it actually work? And, why should you care? Why is it so vital? Okay, let's dig in.
Right. So think about it like this. Without this analysis, this TNA, organizations are kind of guessing with their training. They might spend a lot of money, a lot of time, and, well, nothing really changes performance-wise,
So it's like training in the dark.
pretty much. And the real kicker is TNA isn't just about finding the gaps you already have. It's also about looking ahead, sort of like a strategic crystal ball for skills, if you like.
Okay, interesting. So fundamentally, it's a framework.
It's a framework, yeah, designed to pinpoint those gaps in skills or knowledge or even behaviors that need developing, whether that's for individuals or whole teams.
Right. Finding the skill holes, as you put it, not just for now, but looking forward too. And you mentioned it looks at this on what, three different layers?
That's right, three key layers. We usually start at the top, the biggest picture.
Which is?
That's the organizational competence needs. This one ties directly into the big strategic goals of the company. It asks, okay, overall, what skills and knowledge do we as an organization need to hit our targets and, face the future?
So it considers things like maybe a restructure
Yeah,
or a shift in company culture.
exactly. Changes in structure, the overall climate, maybe desired shifts in how people generally behave. Yeah. Like, say, if a company wants to go global or bring in some major new tech, what new skills will everyone need to learn? That's the organizational level question.
Okay, got it. And I see something here about benchmarking being important for figuring this out, internal and external. Can you break those down?
Sure. Benchmarking is basically a comparison. So internal benchmarking. Imagine you're comparing different teams inside the same company. Maybe how fast sales team A closes deals versus sales team B, or customer satisfaction scores from call center X versus call center Y.
Finding the best practices already happening internally.
Precisely. To spread that success around. Then, external benchmarking looks outside. How does our product launch time compare to our main competitor? Are our digital skills lagging behind the industry average?
So comparing against the competition or the sector leaders.
Right. And this whole analysis, internal and external, it really highlights those competitive gaps. And then you know where to aim your training to catch up or even get ahead. Makes the organization sharper, more ready.
Okay, so benchmarking gives you a clear map of where you stand. But who actually draws that map? It's not just one person figuring this out, is it?
Oh, definitely not. That's a really key point. The stakeholders involved are, well, they're crucial and pretty varied. You've got senior management, obviously. They set the strategy, the overall direction. They know where the ship is supposed to be heading.
Makes sense. Who else?
Then you absolutely need the employees themselves. They're on the ground. They know what challenges they face day to day, what skills they feel they're missing.
Right, the practical perspective.
Absolutely. And don't forget customers. Their feedback, their complaints,
No.
that's gold. It often points directly to where employee skills might need a boost. They give you that outside-in view.
Good point. And one more.
Regulatory bodies. Sometimes compliance just dictates certain training. Health and safety, data, privacy, whatever it is. That's often non-negotiable. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how getting input from all these different groups, management, staff, customers, regulators, it just makes the whole analysis so much more accurate and the training that comes out of it much more likely to actually hit the mark.
That makes perfect sense. It gives you a really rounded picture, doesn't it? Top down, bottom up, inside, outside. Okay, so that's the big organizational view. But performance often comes down to individuals, right? So let's shift focus. The second layer, individual competence needs.
Exactly. Now we're zooming in. This level looks squarely at the individual employee and their performance in their specific role. We look at things like required job traits, maybe innate things like creativity or analytical skill.
Mm.
We look at the formal job description, what the tasks are, and the required behaviors like teamwork or communication style.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Take a graphic designer role.
Yeah.
It might require creativity. That's a trait. Proficiency in specific software. That's in the job description. And the ability to take feedback constructively. That's a behavior. TNA at this level checks if the person currently in that role meets those requirements. It spots the gap between their actual performance and what the job demands.
Okay, so it's very targeted. If someone's finding a specific part of their job difficult, this level helps pinpoint exactly why and what skill is missing.
Precisely. Very granular.
And then the third layer, this one feels different because it's not just adding up individuals, it's about the team itself. Team competence needs.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just the sum of the parts. This layer assesses the team as a single functioning unit. We're looking at competencies that only really exist at the team level.
Like what?
Things like coordination among team members on a complicated project, uh, leadership within the team, maybe not just the formal leader, how well they communicate collectively, especially under pressure, or their combined ability to tackle problems as a group.
Right, things that depend on the interaction between people.
Exactly. And the tools here might involve, say, observing team meetings, analyzing how they collaborate on shared documents, or looking at the results of team-based projects. It's about making sure the team works smoothly and effectively together.
Okay, that clarifies the three layers really well: organizational, individual, and team. So we understand what needs we're looking for. But the big question then becomes, how do we actually find this information? How do organizations gather the data to see these gaps? What are the main sources?
Right, good question. Once you know what to look for, you need the raw data. And there are several key sources. First, there's institutional or organizational performance analysis. This is looking at the big metrics. How is the organization doing overall against its goals?
So things like sales figures, maybe, or production targets.
Yeah, exactly. Sales, project completion rates, customer retention, innovation output, those kinds of high-level indicators. Then, related but more focused, is individual performance analysis. This drills down into how individual employees are doing against their specific job standards.
Often drawing from things like annual reviews, I suppose, or KPIs.
Performance reviews are a big one, yes. Key performance indicators, 360-degree feedback sometimes. It measures performance against the expected benchmarks for that role.
Okay, so that gives us the hard data, the quantitative stuff, but performance isn't just numbers, is it? You need the story behind them.
Absolutely not. Numbers only tell part of the story. That's why surveys are really useful. You can ask employees directly, what training do you feel you need? Where do you see challenges? It gives you that broader, a qualitative feel across the organization.
Getting opinions and perceptions.
Right, and even deeper insights come from interviews, talking one-on-one or in small groups with employees and their managers. That's where you really uncover the nuances, the specific obstacles, the why behind the performance data. You get richer, more detailed information.
So conversations are key.
Definitely. And finally, you often pull together formal organizational and individual performance reports. These consolidate a lot of the quantitative data we talked about. Having these reports helps ensure decisions about training are based on solid evidence, not just anecdotes. It provides that balance between the qualitative and quantitative.
Okay, so we have the layers of need, and we know the sources to get the data performance stats, surveys, interviews, reports. Now, once you've got all this information, this mix of numbers and opinions, what tools do you actually use to sift through it all, to really pinpoint the specific training priorities?
Good point. Gathering the data is one thing. Making sense of it is another. There are several tools commonly used for the analysis phase. Questionnaires are one. They're efficient for collecting specific data points from a large number of people, building on maybe what the initial survey suggested.
More targeted than the initial surveys, perhaps.
Often, yes. Then interviews come up again, but maybe more structured this time. You might use them to follow up on questionnaire results or performance data, digging deeper into specific issues with key individuals or managers. Document review is another important one. This means looking closely at existing materials.
Like what kind of documents?
Things like company policies, standard operating procedures, safety manuals, job descriptions, obviously, even past training records or reports. They tell you what should be happening, the formal requirements.
Comparing the as-is with the should-be.
Exactly. Then there's task analysis. This is quite detailed. It involves breaking a specific job down into its individual tasks and steps. For each step, you identify the skills and knowledge needed to perform it correctly. It's great for pinpointing very specific skill deficits related to job functions.
Really getting into the nuts and bolts of a job.
And finally, performance appraisals themselves are a direct tool for analysis. Those regular reviews, when done well, explicitly identify performance gaps and development needs for individuals, feeding directly into the TNA process.
Right, so it's a whole toolkit, really. Questionnaires, interviews, documents, task breakdowns, appraisals, used together to get that clear picture. Okay, this has been a great breakdown of the model itself. Let's bring it back. What does all this actually mean for, say, someone listening or for an organization they work for or might be interested in? Why should we care about this training needs analysis model beyond it just being, a smart framework? What's the real impact?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, I think the most profound insight is that TNA fundamentally changes how we view training. It stops being just a cost and becomes a really critical strategic investment. The impact is huge. Firstly, it helps organizations significantly improve employee performance because the training is targeted. You're fixing the right problems, not just offering generic courses.
So, better results from the training spend.
Absolutely. Which leads to the next point. It guides those training resources, time, and money much more effectively. You ensure you're getting bang for your buck, investing in things that will actually move the needle on performance and organizational goals.
Makes sense. Smarter spending.
Definitely. It also provides a solid foundation for strategic planning around training. Organizations can be proactive, anticipating future skill needs, rather than just reacting when problems appear.
Planning ahead instead of just firefighting.
Right. And importantly, for the employees themselves, it really boosts job satisfaction and offers clear pathways for professional development. People feel invested in when the training is relevant to their needs and career goals. The companies that really excel, they don't just react to skill shortages. They use TNA almost constantly to see what's coming down the track, build resilience, maybe even gain a competitive edge by developing new capabilities before others do.
So it's really about building a learning culture, not just scheduling courses.
That summed it up perfectly. It's about strategic investment in your people, ensuring the whole organization is ready for whatever comes next. Future-proofing, really.
That really lends the importance, I think. The TNA model isn't just jargon. It's a structured, comprehensive way for organizations to find and fix critical skill gaps. And that drives better performance, growth, benefits for everyone involved, really.
Yeah.
It does leave me with a final thought, though. Considering how fast everything changes, industries, technology, markets, it raises a question, doesn't it? How often do you think an organization really needs to revisit this kind of deep dive? How often do they need to do a TNA to genuinely stay competitive or maybe even just stay relevant?